So peer feedback and collaboration, two things that are so important in teaching writing, and we have to make sure that we have some ways to make this happen remotely. So first thing I want you to think about, and you can share as well, is what strategies do you already use for peer feedback and collaboration in the classroom? So we don't have to start completely over with our processes for peer feedback and collaboration. We can use a lot of what we already use for that. We just have to make it work remotely. And for those of you who are doing some sort of hybrid where students are with you in person and they're also online, you have the ability to kind of pick and choose if this is done in person or online. But you kind of already have limitations as well as far as if students can really work together face-to-face, especially if they're separated by 6 feet. So all of this I think is going to be really important to think about, and not only for hybrid or remote learning, but for when you're in the classroom trying to use technology to make collaboration work when they can't really be near each other. Okay, so let's talk about peer feedback and the logistics of it. So peer feedback we use in writing to make sure that students are able to receive feedback, targeted feedback on their writing so that they can make their writing better. Now, in the writing classroom, a lot of times we call this revision because it is revision. And we don't focus a lot on editing in peer feedback. It's more on the overall things. However, we don't want to just focus on it being revision because then we kind of get stuck in that it happens once every writing piece. And that's not really the case. Feedback should happen throughout the writing piece so that students can continually make their writing better. So just trying to fit it into one day is really not a great strategy in person, and it's not going to be a great strategy remotely either. And so one of the benefits of working remotely is that students have access to other people that they may not normally have access to get feedback. So they have access to family members, anyone that's in their home, and then anyone in your class or the other classes that they can connect with online. So we're going to talk about the logistics of putting peer feedback into place in a remote classroom. So this could work with any sort of e-learning platform, but our examples will primarily be Google and Microsoft because that's what most of you use. So first thing is that you need to test out a system for giving and receiving feedback before having students try it. So you have to decide in your e-learning platform, first of all, what format is their writing going to be in? Is it going to be a Word document? Is it going to be a Google Doc? Is it going to be something else? And from that format, how is that going to be given to another person, to a peer, for them to provide feedback, and how are they going to return that feedback? So this process can be, I say hopefully simple. I really want you to keep it simple. But really what's important is you figuring out how you're going to do it before you introduce it to students or have them try it. So you need to master it. You need to try it on the student side. So if you're using Google Classroom, you need to have a Google student account in your classroom so that you can see the student side, so that you can try it out, master it, and then make some tutorials for your students. We also have, and I will share more about this later, but you definitely want to check out the tech tutorials that I'm linking in the description. So I will edit the link in the description to reflect this. But these tech tutorials will show you how to set this up, not only in Microsoft, but in Google Classroom. So we have some tech tutorials for you just to show how students will set up their document and share it with a peer to give them feedback. So also you need to teach about quality feedback. This is the same in the classroom. This is practice, and also practice, practice, practice. So before you allow your students to really give and receive feedback on their own, you need to make sure that they've really been taught what to do. They've been given a full system for how to do it, and they understand it, and they've practiced it, and they've mastered it. Otherwise, what's going to happen is if you throw them into it, they're not going to be giving or receiving quality feedback, and it's going to be kind of a waste. Maybe a couple students will give really good feedback, but then a lot of students are going to get feedback like, this is spelled wrong, or hey, it looks good, and no, that's really kind of a waste of our time. And then when your students are ready, try to build it naturally into your weekly lessons. So if you take the time to get your students trained on this, then you can build it in naturally so that when your students are done with a certain section of their writing, or if they're struggling and need help, or if they're finished with something and and you don't want them to move on, they can have this system in place so that they're able to share with a partner in order to get feedback. And at the beginning of the year, you can make it as simple as having one partner. So each student has the same partner, and that way they're just continually sharing feedback back and forth. And then as you get further into the year, you can always change it up for them. So, and at the lower levels, you can also facilitate this by having students turn in these pieces and then assigning them to a particular peer. So there's a lot of ways that you can do this. You just have to keep in mind what your system's going to be, how you're going to teach it, and then how to build it into your lessons. And I do have a lot of information for you in this training on how to teach about the quality feedback, because that's a big passion of mine as well. So let's answer this question. How often should I have students give and receive feedback? So the wrong answer is once per unit, and that would be during the revision phase. That is the wrong answer to me. What I really like to do is have them give and receive feedback on a daily basis. Now, I'm not going to say that's going to happen for everybody, especially if you're limited on time. And we all know that every single classroom is very different right now. So depending on how much time you have and what you are putting into place, this could be something you do every day and it's kind of built naturally in there. It's actually could be some of the independent learning time that students have where they're not really with you. Or it could be something that happens twice a week or 3 times a week or once a week. It just really depends on what you have available. Now, if writing is a big focus of yours and you're running a full day, whether it's in the classroom in kind of like a hybrid situation or you're running a full remote day, then I would say try to have it built in every day. And not every student will get it every day, but students who are finished early or are struggling will have that system to be able to reach out to a peer to get help and feedback. Here's another common question that I've seen. If my students are writing on a piece of paper, can they submit a picture of it for feedback? So I know many of you really do prefer to have students write on paper, and that's great. That's totally fine if that's what you want them to do. And if that's what your students are most comfortable with, you have to really meet them where they're at. This is totally fine. You just have to have a system where the students are able to share the questions they have about their writing and have a system for how the partner will respond. So either way, you're using some sort of digital submitting or response, but as long as they can really read the paper well, then I don't have a problem with this, because the purpose of this isn't for the partner to edit it. The purpose is for the partner to read the portions that the person who wrote the paper has a question about and answer those questions and provide help and feedback. So as long as they can do that, it's fine however they submit it. This question is very important as well. This is, how can we make sure students are giving and receiving quality feedback? So if students are working together to give and receive feedback, it can be kind of overwhelming for you to kind of micromanage everything. So check all the feedback they're giving and all of that whole system. So although I do say at the beginning you need to make sure that you are being very watchful and trying to make sure that you are encouraging quality feedback, there is going to be more and more instances where students will be doing this on their own, and it will be a natural part of the process. Kind of like in your classroom where, at the beginning of the year, you're constantly hovering and making sure that you've practiced everything and they have got it down before you give them a little bit of independence. It's the same thing, but it's a little bit scarier because when you're online and you're not directly watching them, you're not even in the room. But I do want to make sure that you know how to set it up so that students know how to give and receive quality feedback so that you can worry less about this. So this is just a very brief explanation of how I handle feedback. I give my students directed questions. We do a full mini lesson and we practice. I have students journal and then request feedback, and we just do it as a practice. Like, it's not an actual writing unit. And then when they're ready, we actually do it about their writing piece. But directed questions means that the students aren't just giving someone their paper and saying, tell me what I need to change, because that's not really helpful, because a lot of times the other student won't really know what to say. So what they're doing is the student who has written the paper is saying, can you blank? So they fill in the blank what they can do, and then blank, how it will help. So in this example, it's, can you help me improve my lead? 2, better grab the attention of my audience. So they're asking for help on a particular piece of their writing, and they're including the purpose of this help, okay? And so I do make sure that I'm teaching students, this is not putting it, can you fix my writing to get me a better grade? That's not a good one, right? We teach focusing on one particular thing that they're struggling with and the purpose of making that correction or making that piece better. So here's another example. Can you tell me what information is missing from my first body paragraph to help me add more elaborations? So this all is really going to directly correlate with the things that you're saying as a teacher and the focuses that you're having in your mini lessons. So if you're focusing in your mini lessons on adding elaborations and there's a student who's like able to write 2 sentences in that paragraph, they are aware, or you can help make them aware that they are missing pieces. And in order to figure out where they're missing those pieces, they might need the help of a peer to tell them, well, this is what I don't understand from this paragraph. This is what you left out. This is what you can tell me more about. And so these questions are really helpful, and that way the peer can respond to what is really needed instead of looking for just anything in the writing. So we practice this a ton with journal prompts just as a practice, because the beginning of the school year is going to be a lot of teaching students how to not only set up the technology, but do these procedures. And it already is in the classroom, but it's going to be worse online. But we need to also make sure that, journaling it's quick, it's easy, it's fun, it does not have a grade, so it works for us. So we use a lot of that to practice. We also use journaling for pre-assessment, which is definitely something we've talked about in past trainings about doing online. So if that's something you're also interested in for the beginning of the year, let me know, and I will make sure that we have more information on that for you. So here are some helpful tools. Feel free to screenshot this if it has some ideas that you haven't heard of. But there are some ways to give feedback that are a little more interactive than just providing text feedback. And typing your text for your feedback is great, that's fine. There's no problem with that at all. But as you are going more into the school year and you're noticing maybe your students are disengaging a little bit and you need to have something more engaging, you can have students create videos. You can create videos to share with students when you're giving them feedback, especially in conferencing. And a few things I like for that are Loom, Hippo Video. Those both will record and then make a link for it, and then Screencastify. That one I don't believe makes a link for it, but you at least get the video. But these are also a great way to record yourself making tutorials to show students how to provide the feedback or how to share their files and so forth. So we actually used these to record some tutorials for you to show you how to do peer feedback, requesting, and replying in Microsoft and in Google. We also have, for engagement and feedback, we have things like Google Forms. When your students can create a Google form and put a piece of their writing and have other students respond to it. That would be a cool way to get feedback on a specific part of their writing. Flipgrid is a great one because they can post videos to respond to things, so that could be the same thing. And then Edpuzzle is a great one because you can create a tutorial video or a video teaching them how to do quality feedback, and you can have a place to insert text so that they can reply and respond by typing in during your training of that piece if you're doing pre-recorded and not live videos. And then live videos are a great way to do peer feedback, especially if you can do breakout rooms. So I love Zoom, Google Hangouts, Microsoft Teams, and Skype. These are great ways for you to collaborate with your students as well as your students to collaborate with each other. So overall, with the tools, what's really important is to make sure that you and your team and your administration have some ground rules as far as what is allowed to be used and how students are able to work independently with other students. So I know there were a lot of rules last year. Some schools had no rules on it, and then some schools were like, nope, kids cannot contact each other without the teacher listening. So definitely find out where you're at there, because a lot of these tools can really be used for students to collaborate together and give great feedback without you needing to be necessarily there. You're more scaffolding. And my big question for you is, in what ways can we have students collaborate with each other daily? So this isn't just writing, but just in general. I want you to think about, how can we have students collaborate with each other daily? They're going to be doing a lot of listening to us talking, whether it's pre-recorded or it's live, but what can we do to have them actually collaborate with each other without us having to, I guess, be there directing them, and just allowing them to have conversations like they would have in the classroom with each other, but online. So some ways you could do this could be things like discussion posts, students emailing each other back and forth, students creating videos for each other, calling each other, depending on what types of resources you have. But this is a way to make sure that students are more engaged in the learning when we're doing remote learning, and also make sure that students are able to have the discussion they need to really learn the concepts. So writing is, I think, a truly interactive experience. And I always tell my students that real writers don't just sit down and write and then just turn it in and it gets printed. What they do is they're constantly researching, talking to people, getting feedback, making changes. It's a very collaborative experience, and I say it's a team experience to write something too.